We're born in the moonlight. Ain't no fair to say. Can't breathe in the sunlight.
Hello Aromas, this is Aromie here, and welcome back to Changeling. We're here, and Marc's around. I am so hyped to fucking play this game so much because of Marc. I wonder if I have anything I can submit. All my old paintings are unpacked, but even so, I didn't really know if I had anything I'd consider good enough. My old school hadn't had much focus on the art program, so I'd never done an exhibit like that before. I remember in my high school years, I think the school was having a rough time with funds, and they were going to close they were going to end electives for us. Like, there was not going to be any home ec or art class or music classes. It was rough as shit. I remember that happening, and I was like, oh my god, what the fuck. So, but in the end, the students, we ended up doing some fundraiser or something to raise a little bit of funds to save the art class and home ec and music class somehow. I don't know how. I don't remember much of it, because the only reason I knew, because of student council, student government, whatever the fuck that is called. I was the vice president. Literally didn't do anything, by the way. Literally just a title. Literally the president did everything, and I was just there to mediate. But that was really scary at one point, that all the electives could have been closed down because the school funding was just so horrible. Well, I'll still bring some of them in and see what the others think, I guess. I think they might pick the photo painting of her Changeling, maybe. That one's really pretty. I went quickly down to the main hall. The final bell rang right as I reached the bottom of the stairs. A sea of students flooded in, leaving me fighting my way to the main exit. I glanced at the sky as I finally stepped outside. It was a brilliant, clear blue. Probably one of the last nice days we'll have for a while. The weather would turn any day now, and when that happened, we probably wouldn't see the sun for weeks. I smiled slightly as I started down the main steps. School hadn't been all that bad. In fact, it had been a pretty normal day. After a bit of a rocky patch right after joining the club, everything was sort of coming together for me, and I felt like I was finally settling in. Okay, it's going too nicely. What's happening? So now I was off to a magical cafe to tutor the vampire sat next to in literature, because that was also a thing I did these days. Chico, be careful! I paused and looked her way. She was heading across the parking lot, though I wasn't sure where she was going, probably the agency. I quickly learned that in the weeks building to Samhain, very little actually took place in the club room itself. Most active members were busy running errands and doing work for the management agency, or PSI, as their particular department was called. I will see you later, or tomorrow. I wasn't sure what all her internship with them entailed, but it definitely seemed like she and the others were working pretty hard. We waved again, and I started for the entrance of the school parking lot, dodging the puddles from the recent rain. A car rumbled past, nearly sending a spray water over my feet. I dodged, barely managing to save my poor boots from soaking. Watch out! I watched a familiar car vanish down the street as it Spencer. Stupid brother. A few choice gestures came to mind, but I suggested for a long sigh instead. Adjusting my shoulder strap, I continued on my way. Just walking there? I couldn't really even say the frustration of being up at home. Things were tense enough without me adding fuels to the fire. Spencer was being more of a pain in the butt than usual lately. Ever since I joined the Paranormal Mysteries Club, it felt like his suspicion meter had gone up dramatically. I mean, wouldn't you? You joined a Paranormal Mysteries Club after the whole incident. Now, without reason, the club didn't exactly have a reputation for being normal, and that wasn't without reason either. I mean, it wasn't normal. I think what frustrated me most about all of Spencer's sulking, glaring, and acting like he was about to catch me in the middle of something suspicious was that now he actually had a valid reason to be suspicious. I wasn't normal, and I did have a big secret, just like he always said. That was upsetting and worrying because there were so many uncomfortable implications to it. But more than anything, he'd been right, and that really sort of ticked me off. Stupid brother. But he was the least of my worries, at least for now. My life had pretty much exploded since the second day when I'd run into the Spriggan on the bridge in my neighborhood. I started seeing weird things everywhere, on like day one, starting with that Spriggan. It was as if the world of weird was just waiting for me to figure out I was part of it before I had started asserting itself every time I left the house. School was the first place that had been taken over. I'd see wiggly shadows from the corners of my eyes, or flashes of strange faces staring down from the trees in the parking lot. That's fucking scary. Of course, they'd probably always been there, and I just hadn't noticed. Now that I knew I was one of them, I couldn't stop seeing them everywhere. Strange how that works. Ali actually did have a reason, something about me awakening or something. Seeing the Spriggan that day had probably pushed me from being on the verge of awakening to being fully cryptic. Not that the explanation made me particularly happy. To be honest, it had initially felt a little like I was losing it. I mean, even if someone tells you magic is real, fairies are real, and all sort of odd little goblins and ghosts are real, even if you see someone without their freaking head, it takes some time for that kind of thing to fully sink in. Like, really sink in. I'd seen Ali use magic. I'd met a Spriggan. I'd even told myself I totally accepted that it was all real. But having it become a part of my everyday life definitely took more getting used to than I expected. And I think the worst part was that it also felt boringly nostalgic. Like it was all familiar and I'd just gone back to something I'd forgotten years ago. I shoved my hands in my pocket and tucked my head down as I walked quickly towards a shop in town. If I'm late, Marc would spend half the session whining about it. A gust of something swirling white rushed past me. I jerked back as a tendril of cold wetness touched my cheek. Ew, what? But there was nothing nearby, nothing I could see anyway. If the ones I can see are frustrating, the ones I can't see, but know are there, are even worse. I started walking again, resisting the urge to check over my shoulder as I went. Ew, something wet touched my face and I couldn't see it? I didn't mind cryptics that looked human. I mean, how could I? A decent chunk of my fellow students and teachers fit into that category. I fit into that category. The ones that bothered me were the ones that like that. They almost never came out where you could fully see them. There were just flashes of movement or a ghostly touch on the cheek or shoulder. At first thought they were just exclusively lurking around at school, but that wasn't the case at all. One jumped out at me at the grocery store over the weekend, causing a minor freak out on my part, which in turn made my mom think I was nuts. And somehow she thought the situation would be resolved by getting a boyfriend. What? How did she come to that solution? Yeah, not sure how me trying to crawl on my dad's head and having an aneurysm seeped into needing a man, but whatever. Then I'd seen one in my room. Ugh, that had not been a fun night. Hey Chica, what is it? When Mom and Dad burst into my room, summoned by my terrified shriek, I was standing on the chair in the corner shaking, pointing to the closet. There! They both stared wide-eyed in that direction, trying to see whatever I was pointing at. Unfortunately, the brown, grungy creature that was huddled in my closet, staring back at us, was invisible to them. I don't see anything. What is it? What was it, a mouse? He approached the closet carefully, searching for whatever intruder had freaked me out. I immediately felt stupid and frustrated. It wasn't a mouse or spider or anything that my dad could help me fend off with a decent-sized shoe. Even so, I'd managed to convince them that I'd seen a really big spider, which prompted Dad to insist on us clearing out my closet to try to find it. The creature had vanished off somewhere, and of course there was no spider to be found. And since then, Dad hadn't let me forget. I'd climbed up onto a chair in a panic. Nor had he stopped trying to startle me into doing it again. Though I swear the next time he shouts, "There it is! Quick, get on a chair!" I'm going to smack him. And that stupid ratty creature from my closet was still lurking about too. I'd seen it several times. Ali said it was some kind of tutelary fairy, probably. A household spirit that was attached to the house we lived in. She said as long as we didn't take it off, it would probably stay out of sight. Unfortunately, Spencer had definitely already taken it off, because I had taken to pranking him by stealing his keys, shoes, homework. Of course they blinked me, because clearly I had nothing better to do than torment him with petty pranks. Trying to maintain an outward sense of normalcy through it all was the hard part, even if I thought Mom and Dad would handle the truth better than I did. Okay. Sorry. There were apparent laws in place that prevented me from telling them. Ugh. I mean, Elliot told his parents. But if they just stopped popping out at me at weird times, that would be great. Speaking of, I paused at a crosswalk and waited for the light to change. I was trying to keep my head down and look at the old lady in the weird old-fashioned clothing next to me. I was pretty sure she wasn't a normal person for all that she was struggling with what appeared to be shopping bags like a typical old lady. But no one dresses like that anymore. Shifting from one foot to another uncomfortably, I stared at the light, willing it to change faster. I wish Allie had driven me today. The light changed and I immediately headed across the street. Oh shit, that scared me. I heard a soft oof behind me and glanced back to see the old lady face first on the ground, her bags fallen and a variety of random objects scattered around her. Oh, for crying out loud, should I stop and help her? Is she real? Help her out? Ooh. Ooh, that don't sound nice. Nope, I'm not helping you keep going. Fuck it. Weighing the options, I finally bit my lip and kept going. Everyone had tried to drum into me the importance of not engaging with cryptics I didn't know anything about. There were so many different types, and some were quite dangerous. If they couldn't or chose not to blend into human society, there was a good chance their morals and thought processes were skewed in unusual ways. I wonder what would happen if I did help her though. But that gave me a creepy music, so I instantly switched. I didn't want to find out what that meant, but man, it was hard to turn my back on someone who seemed like they needed help. I jogged across the street, trying my best to pretend I just didn't see her. I dropped my head further as I passed an impossibly tall, slender fellow headed the opposite direction. Definitely not human. How can you tell who's human and who's not, though? Because if that old lady was actually a real old lady, I would have just been looking rude as shit. Marc had told me last week that most of them could probably tell I was a cryptic, but wouldn't bother me if I ignored them. Apparently cryptics like them didn't always trust or interact with the ones like me. That is, those of us that could blend in and take part in human society. And some of them were a bit creepy anyway, so I preferred to avoid them if I could, especially after the Spriggan thing under the bridge. I've been told that due to an overflow of magic energy related to Samhain, they continue to increase in number until the end of the next week. Then their numbers will taper off. I was definitely looking forward to that. I picked up the pace and decided to jog the rest of the way to the cafe. It felt too vulnerable being on the streets with all the weird things wandering around. I didn't stop running until I reached the place I was meeting Marc. It was a relief when I pulled open the door and skipped to the sanctity of the cafe. Greeted by the wave of warm air, the soft jingles of bells, and the scent of coffee, I breathed a sigh of relief. For all that, it was supposed to be a paranormal cafe. It felt pretty normal, and all Marc and I ever did was discuss school. Well, we did occasionally talk about paranormal things as it's related to my life and all that. I stepped inside and let the door swing shut behind me, scanning the room for my literature partner. Marc apparently didn't typically help with agency-related things unless he absolutely had to. And since his grades had slipped lately, I've been open to helping him with literature, and he paid me back by answering any questions I had about the paranormal community. Unfortunately, his expertise didn't extend into knowledge about fairies, but he'd helped me with some of the other creatures I'd encountered recently. Welcome! Hey, Merle, right? I smiled at the dark-haired man that greeted me, a familiar and friendly face. It was Merle, Corbin Beltran's older brother. Brother was in quotations. Or whatever that is. Marc told me they were actually cousins. Oh shit, really? They grew up together after Corbin's parents passed away. Well shit! So they typically just refer to each other as siblings. That's sad as fuck, I didn't know. Well, we're gonna know when we go to Corbin next, because Corbin's next, by the way. Hi again. Are you alright? You seem a little out of breath. Yeah, I was afraid I was going to be late. Merle eyed me carefully, then flicked his gaze toward the windows. I shifted uncomfortably. It's not like it was a complete lie. Well, your student's already here. He took the liberty of ordering you a drink. Please tell me you actually ordered coffee this time. Merle just laughed. I think he's finally given up on turning you to a tea drinker. He grudgingly ordered you a latte. Oh, Marc, you're so cute. I love lattes, even though I don't drink coffee a lot either. Thank God. He's back at the usual table. Your drink will be out in just a few minutes. Thanks. Merle, Aya's asking for you in the kitchen. Alright, watch your counter for me. He shot me a wave and smiled as he started away. I returned it as I headed to the back of the cafe where Marc was waiting. Merle was surprisingly normal and mature, considering what Corbin was like. He was the only brother I'd actually met. 2 were out of town on some kind of trip, and the other 3 never seemed to stray from the kitchen. I wonder if we're actually going to be able to see all of them when we go to Corbin's route. Rumor had it that Aya, the oldest, was a bit intimidating and couldn't help but be curious. There were a few other employees, but I'd never really spoken to most of them. It was a cute little place, though. I liked the atmosphere and the coffee. Fortunately, by the time I'd reach our booth in the corner, my breathing had mostly returned to normal. Oh shit! It's CGR already? Holy fuck. Hi, Marc. What are you doing? Is that a spoon? I can't really see it. Marc was already seated, his playbook sitting next to him as he stared out the window. The sun was streaming in, creating a little halo of light that played on his blonde hair. Oh, yeah, is that his tea? He looked distressingly like a photo from a magazine as he sipped tea from a ceramic cup, until he leveled a scowl at me from over the lip. Oh, come on. You're so cute, and then you had a growl or scowl at me, man. He set the teacup on the plate with an annoyed clink. You're late. Listen. I have my reasons. And that reason I'm going to explain to you in the next episode. So thank you guys for watching today's episode. I hope you guys are super excited about Marc. I really love it so far. It's definitely a change of pace from everything prior. Like all the other routes, we always had to like focus on us, learning about us all the time. But this route, we're actually like meeting new characters, having normal things. We're doing normal things like study dates. It's not a date though, but study groups. Not in a group though. But yeah, it's totally different. I really enjoy this freshness. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
touch it.